Hello and welcome folks to another Premodern video. We're going to be playing in the Magic Online Society League, and every now and then I get obsessed with a deck, and this is one of those times. I've been obsessed with this red-green TerraOath deck, and I honestly believe that this is the best deck in the format. I think that it's the strongest deck, the most reckless destroy machine, or like whatever, however you want to describe it, but the deck is spectacular. It attacks on an angle that is really hard to protect from, and I feel like I have most of my angles very much covered. I have been tuning the deck list. If you have been following my channel lately, you can see where I started, and you see where I am at right now. I have been making some very small sort of marginal improvements, but that I think are actually quite significant. First of all, I got myself a play set of all frame silver libraries. This is long overdue, and 4 libraries is the truth. So I might as well just get myself a nice little playset of the nice ones. Next step obviously is to entirely old frame this, but these cards are actually unreasonably expensive, so these ones will take a little bit longer to get. But regardless, small improvements. You will see a Shivan Oasis. Yes, I am fairly convinced that this is the first time that Shivan Oasis is part of a tier 1 deck in Premodern. I imagine this is also going to be the last, so we might as well enjoy it. But I do like Shivan Oasis. I tried it over Forgotten Cave. What has been happening is that you have some very steep green mana requirements, and I realized that I was basically never ever cycling Forgotten Cave ever. So if that's the case, then I might as well have a Shivan Oasis in play. The other thing that we could consider is I think most were bridge. It's the filter land from Odyssey. The problem with the filter land is that it's a little bit awkward with Rishadan Port, because you cannot just tap it for, just a colorless, so you can port your opponent. So that makes it really awkward. But obviously entering the battlefield untapped is a big deal, and well, notably we have a bunch of colorless sources, so we can filter those colorless sources into maybe playing like a GG card and a red card in the same turn, so we can do cool stuff like that. So both of them have upsides and downsides. I'm currently in the Shivan Oasis train. Maybe the filter land is better, only time will tell, but so far I have not tried the filter land. It is just on the docket for things to try out. And then when we go to the sideboard, you will see that I added the 4th Red Elemental Blast / Pyroblast. I think blast effects are very, very strong, are particularly effective in this deck, where you are trying to protect such obnoxiously strong cards as Fear and Sylvan Library. So Red Elemental Blast in particular really fixes a whole, like you will see that we only splash in for Pyroclasm and Red Elemental Blast, that's it. So obviously, these cards are here because they answer a very specific subset of weaknesses that the mono-green version of this deck has, and I think that they do a spectacular job at doing so. They are fantastic against a deck like Dreadnought, and I have been playing a single Crumble in here in this slot. Crumble is much better against the Mirror. It's also much better against like the random artifacts decks you see out there, while Pyroblast is just as good versus a deck like Dreadnought, or against maybe a deck like Stasis. It's even a little bit better. So they have like a little bit of they superimpose in the same matchups, like you kind of want them in the same matchups sometimes, and then sometimes not quite, but still, I think it's good to have access to the flexibility. Then we have, Call the Her Naturalize, only 1 copy of Phyrexian Furnace. And this is because I respect Elves a lot, and I think Elves is potentially a problematic archetype for this deck. I was playing a 2nd copy of Phyrexian Furnace over Curse Totem, but the decks that I want Furnace for are not as popular in the MTGO League, so I'm doing this split instead. But if I were playing in paper, I think I would probably find myself running another copy of Furnace. Furnace has been particularly impressive in the Mirror match. It has definitely shown up there, and it has been rather important, especially when we're playing against the green-white version, where being able to use Furnace to exile your opponent's Ray of Revelation is kind of a game changer. Like turning just Ray of Revelation into 1-for-1, it's a great way to offset one of the big advantages that the green-white version has over the green-red version. So we're going to be playing this through a league. Hopefully things go right for us. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you there for round number 1. Welcome to round number 1. This hand is actually kind of interesting. I kind of want a sphere on turn 1, but in order to do that I have to throw away my treetop village, and then I don't have guaranteed land drops, so I think I'm going to keep, but I'm not going to play Mox Diamond into sphere. I don't think that's what I want to do. I think I'm just going to go treetop village and just ship the turn back. This is awesome. My opponent says like a week ago one of my videos popped into their YouTube feed, and that's how they're playing the format right now. That's amazing. Wow, that's sick. Love that. Man, is this a turn 1 sphere? I'm not gonna go for it. I think I'm just going to be a coward. Man, maybe I'm supposed to just jam sphere. So the thing I'm really scared about is if my opponent goes turn 1 Jackal Pup, this is a disaster, right? If they just go turn 1 Pup here, yep. Oh my god. Literally the worst case scenario. Oh, brutal. Okay, so I guess I'm going to go Mox into Winter's Grasp, pitching the Carplusen Forest, and the reason to do this is I think it's more valuable to destroy their land to prevent them from fire blasting. Going for sphere there is also reasonable, but I think I'd rather go this route. I'll take 2 here, see what we draw. Would love to see a Pyroclasm, no such luck. So definitely want to play out the fetch land. Question is whether to sphere or whether to Thermokarst. It's effectively the same thing, but I'm sort of sandbagging. I think I'm gonna go for this. The reason why I'm doing this is I'm sort of sandbagging the sphere because I may draw a Noth, or I may draw something like a library. And if that's the case, then I want to be able to play library / oath into sphere in the same turn. Obviously, I'm getting more and more punished every time, though my opponent would have been able to deploy this anyway, so doesn't really change much. So I think I'm gonna double sphere here. This means I take 1 more hit, but it's probably okay. And I think I actually want to go get another green source here. This means my opponent's going to have a really hard time resolving spells. And now we can start to use treetop to block. Well, they've been hitting those land drops. Pretty good for them. Pyroclasm or Oath are my best draws here. Factory. It's actually not bad. Actually not bad. This allows me to block both Mog Fanatic and Jackal Pup. And without that extra land drop there, interesting, they're going for it. Okay, so I guess they're about to fire blast this treetop village because we're blocking here. Most definitely blocking. Okay, so my opponent decides to shoot the treetop village. My opponent's very close to threshold. Oh, I just realized they actually literally cannot fire blast. So can I, if I swing for 2, my opponent attacks and I'm already at a virtual 7, I think I'm just going to send the turn back. Obviously drawing a basic mountain there, not where I want to be. So we're gonna be in a little bit of a stalemate until either my opponent finds a land or I find something to do. Winter's Grasp, pretty good. Question is whether do I want to go after the Barbarian Ring or whether do I want to go after the mountain. If I go after mountain, that makes Fire Blast worse. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go after the mountain. It means I take a point from the Mog Fanatic, but I really want to delay my opponent from being able to Fire Blast me. And Fire Blast represents more damage than my Barbarian Ring. Also, exactly, I do have access to Wasteland as well. So, okay, now I'm feeling a little bit more confident about my spot. So the Mog Fanatic can't get through, and I mean, I have to find something at some point, right? I just have to. Port, sure. We're gonna start porting. So anyway, I started porting. Opponent didn't fetch notably, so if we find a Wasteland, we get to destroy that. Opponent goes to this card. We draw Thermokarst. That plays. This is top tier gameplay for my opponent that's brand new to the format, so they get to enjoy. We're a virtual 6 here, so I definitely not worth attacking. If I find the second factory, I'm gonna start swinging, but hey, look at that. So now we do get to start attacking. 2 at a time. Shout out to Sphere of Resistance. Put in discards all of their silly 3-drops as we continue to be down 2 at a time. Now we drew library, so supposedly we're going to find something to start speeding up this clock a little bit. We seem to be in decent shape here. Sphere number 3. I mean, if I don't find anything better, I'm definitely casting that. Yeah, let's do that. Obviously, I'm not gonna pay, you know. I'm a simple man. I see Sphere of Resistance, I cast. Okay, that third one was enough for my opponent. That's funny. Okay, bring me these Sewer Orbs, bring me these Calls of the Herd, and I do want some number of Pyroclasm / Naturalize / Phyrexian Furnace. Obviously, Spheres are fantastic. I don't actually think Sylvan Library is that bad. Like, I kind of like it. I think Winter's Grasp is worse than Library. We already have thermal cars, which we can potentially gain life from in a pinch. The question is whether to Oath or Pyroclasm or Naturalize. And I think that I want to do like a little bit of a split here, and I'm erring more towards the side of Naturalize / Pyroclasm than Oath. Yeah, let's actually go full on Pyroclasm, especially on the draw. We did see multiple sulfuric vortexes there, so Naturalize potentially better. Yeah, the sand seems pretty decent. We're not gonna drop this Terravore until it's at least a 4/4. That's the bare minimum Terravore size that's acceptable. Wastelands may be terrible or it's maybe amazing. We won't know for a minute. If my opponent plays a 2-drop, Rimblavamancer. If they play a 1-drop, I mean, I'm not going to like Pyroclasm it right away. Pretty nice actually. So let's go Diamond, pitching Wasteland, play Port, and I'm just going to port the red source. There's an argument for keeping the Wasteland. The reason being I can blow my own dude, blow up my own dude. This is probably enough for me to Pyroclasm here. So let's play, oh man. This is actually very interesting because like my opponent's gonna have Price of Progress, so I guess I'm gonna take 4 from Price of Progress. So let's go Mox Diamond, Factory. Seems odd, but I think it's right. And then Pyroclasm. Opponent's gonna ping me down to 18, and then I'm going to port them on upkeep. And next turn we may be deploying this Terravore. We'll see. I am. Wasteland is actually also interesting as a way to. When it shocks me, that's fine. It's also interesting as a way to play around Price of Progress, so that's another consideration. Just Wasteland my own land. It's kind of a pretty valuable play. Suranor is probably my best draw. Oh my god, we drew 3-top. Kind of sucks a little bit, not gonna lie. Do I just play out this Terravore to get bolted? Yeah, I think I just attack with Factory. Just bait out a potential removal spell here. If my opponent kills this now, then I'm going to just play a 4/4 Terravore instead. Yeah, I think I'm going to be greedy. Be greedy. I'm going to play into Price of Progress. Price of Progress dealing me 6 is huge, but I think I need to play into it because I need to speed up my clock. Like, I need to get this game over with. Foothills is actually big game here because now I get to fetch for a green source and I get to deploy the Terravore as a 4/4. 1, 2, 3... Play Terravore, and I think I swing for 3. It's kind of close. My opponent can also like Bolt plus Mog Fanatic the Terravore, but that's perfectly fine with me. That's perfectly acceptable. Fine exchange. I'll continue beating down with my manlands. I mean, we're technically ahead on the race, and we all know that technically correct is the best kind of correct, so we'll take that. We do have a 2-turn clock at our disposal. Another Factory. Yeah, this one I'm not going to be playing. I'm just gonna play... I am going to swing with just 3-top and Terravore. If my opponent chomps, we still have lethal next turn, and if they don't chomp, we have a blocker for their Mog Fanatic. So block and ping doesn't do anything, still deal 7, and then tap a land their upkeep. We do get to soak up 3 damage from a Bolt Lining, which is also very nice, while still presenting lethal next turn. Yeah, that's not gonna do it, I don't think. There we go, Price of Progress. Okay, so if they have second Price of Progress, we're dead. But there's nothing I can do about it. And we beat kind of everything else. So the question now is, can my opponent draw another Price of Progress? But even if they go land, Bolt Lining, it's not enough. Even through my opponent Lightning Bolting my 3-top, we win. I guess I could technically have double Lightning Bolt or Lightning Bolt Fire Blast, some combination of those. But because of the Factory, I can pump. So even if they bolt my 3-top village, we still have 7 on board. And we're dead to Price of Progress anyway, so no need to play around that. Jackal Pup, not the best blocker. Ooh, Fire Blast face. That is not enough. And we get there. Nice, nice, nice. Match 1, already want to know? Alright, here we go. Round number 2. Yes, we keep this. We can, since we already have a red source, I'm going to lead on 3-top village, leaving Shivan Oasis for down the road. But I could definitely see the other way around if I did not have access to the red source. Lack. Imagine this is gonna be... Knowing McLean, I'm going to imagine that this is just zombies. Unmask. Pitching Contamination. Oh, alright. Oh, wow. Are we about to get owned? Definitely sounds like it. Alright, Port, do your thing. Unmask Pitching Contamination. Holy crap. That is a sequence. Cabal Therapy. Imagine naming Thermal Karst here. Pretty lucky that we drew Winter's Grasp instead of second Thermal Karst, because that would have been a disaster. So Winter Grasp. Actually, I can't believe that Thermal Karst gaining us a life may actually matter. This is crazy. Definitely blowing up the land there. He could definitely have some utility lands over there. No land drop. Well, that's huge. Now, do we want to play around Vendetta? I think I actually really need to start clocking. So I don't think I'm going to play around Vendetta. Next turn, we're going to start to port plus treetop, which is nice. Also, we have a nice little spot there for our Shivan Oasis. That's pretty nice. Duress. Not a thing. Can we draw? Maybe not that one. So since we already have dead draws here, I guess I'm just going to continue doing this. But yeah, triple wooded foothills when we naturally drew 2 of our 4 basics. Not great. But still, this is a shuffle for what's his name, right? So this is still worth it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so let's go for Sphere. And I guess this turn we cannot actually do anything because we cannot attack because I want to port his port. Because otherwise he's gonna start to be able to port my port and that's gonna disrupt me more than him. So that's very annoying. I am scared to death of that contamination though. Really need to find some action. That's not it. That is not it. I'm gonna swing with treetop. I'm going to continue tapping the port. My opponent still cannot cast Contamination, so I think that we're gonna tap port here. Another factory. That's pretty annoying actually. So now he can pump through my treetop. Good draw. That's a fine draw. Play out TerraOath. Can make it a 3/3, which is nice. And the nice thing that we can do here is that we can actually, if my opponent has some sort of edict effect, we can get through that by activating treetop. What to tap now is interesting though. I think I actually want to tap the black source now. This is gonna enable my opponent's port, but it's going to limit any sort of, like sorcery speed, make me sack effects. Things like innocent blood and stuff like that. No responses. Oh, he's got a second black. Okay, this could be very bad. If he does have the contamination, the good thing is he doesn't have like a Nether Spirit or anything like that, so we at least got that going on. And we can still use port under contamination for what's worth. We can hold the wooded foothills for Mox Diamond purposes as well as another way to play around contamination. Want to tap in some mana. Contamination. Okay. Yeah. Gonna do some fetching because I want to grow the TerraOath and shorten the clock. Best draw is probably Mox Diamond. Wasteland. It's not bad. So I think we blow up the factory. We could blow up the port. Now let's blow up the factory. This forces my opponent to sack the other factory and then we can tap the port. Otherwise the contamination is going to get destroyed. So they're going to be forced into sacking the factory here. Yep. Activate factory. They're going to sack it to contamination. And now still in upkeep. So my opponent may have like a sacrifice effect. Some infestation would be really scary. Innocent blood. Okay. So that means contamination is going to be out now? Or not? What's going on? Unmask them himself for Nether Spirit. Oh my god, that's sick. Pitching Skeletal Shrine, so that's a big deal. So now we need to find Mox. That's how we win. Thermokarst, not great. So we're just going to tap my opponent's port every turn. But they do have the lock now. They do have the lock. If I find a Mox, we're gonna be golden. But my opponent has me on the lock. Factory. Brutal. I guess I can also draw my own factories. So we actually do have like a healthy amount of decent draws. Not that one. Pretty cool deck McLean is on. He drew something, he drew the rest. Okay, that takes the Thermokarst. Not really that big a deal. Karplusan Forest. Not great. It's not where we want to be. So I think we're just going to shift the turn back. And I'm going to continue tapping the port until we get to a point where we're forced into tapping the factory. You would have been great like 4 or 5 turns ago. We do have some time. We do have some time. Also, we can just draw Wasteland, and then once we draw Wasteland, we can just blow up the port, and then we can start tapping the factory. That's also going to buy us a pretty significant amount of time. Mox Diamond is incredible. Another Karplusan Forest, not great. Tap the port, hope for the best. Oh no, he's tapping mana. Hardcast Spirit. That's interesting. Alright, factory is huge. Factory is a massive draw. So now we port the port. Massive draw with that factory. So he needs to have a way to exile. Oh, I guess that he just continues this spirit in play. Okay, that makes sense. Port my factories. Fine, I was not going to attempt to block. He gets in there for 4. I mean, we win this race if we find Pyroclasm. Pyroclasm would... Oh no, I guess we don't have color. God damn it. We found 4 foothills, 4 Karplusan Forest. Oh, this is a nightmare. So I guess I have to swing? This is actually a sneaky attack, but like this matters a lot. This attack matters a huge amount. Because now what I can do is if I find Mox Diamond, I have lethal board, which otherwise I wouldn't have. So port port. So now Mox Diamond is actually lethal. Wasteland also very good for us. We do have some pretty great draws here. Alright, second port is a card that allows me to swing back. Man, this game has been so close. Obviously he may have like Smother or something and that's terrible, but he goes down to 2. Play second port, shift the turn back. Now we go back to a stalemate because I'm winning the race here and I'm gonna tap both the port and the factory. This is actually very funny. He floats a mana in response and activates, and now in response to that I'm going to tap the factory. So now he needs to leave the Nether Spirit back to block, because I can even play around removal by just like tapping both of his lands and my draw step. So I'm gonna leave a stop on my draw step and then make a decision from there. Goes to combat and can't attack. I can also draw like my own fact. Oh, okay. No, I actually can't. I can't cast that. Never mind. So I can attack, and now my opponent's gonna have 2 Nether Spirits. This leaves my opponent with 2 Nether Spirits in the graveyard, but if they do have a second Skeletal Scrying, we lose. Because my opponent can just exile the Nether Spirit, and then I have nothing going on for myself. This is really close. Contamination is like such a beating. So I attack, he blocked, we trade. I think I'm supposed to just swing. I think I'm supposed to offer the trade. Oh, he's got Smother. I could have played around it. Oh my god, I could have played around it. I could have played around this! Oh my god, now I put myself in dead? We have 1 turn, so I'm not actually dead. Oh, that was so bad. Like, it was free for me to play around that. Oh my god, that's so bad. Yeah, that was a really bad mistake. It was free for me to play around Smother. And I don't lose to Vendetta because my opponent dies if they cast it. So, yeah, that was just straight up a bad mistake on my part. I mean, we still win if we find Mox Diamond off the top, so that's kind of funny. So we still have lethal draws here, but like one of my 3 Mox Diamonds is literally the only thing that saves me now. I guess I can just draw another factory, never mind. But those are the only 2 valid draws. Only 2 valid draws are Mox Diamond and second factory. The only 2 cards that actually do something. Mox? Terravor. Nope. Well, deserved to lose that one. Was playing tightly and in that very last turn where I just like threw it away for no reason. Anyway, so back to the drawing board here. Oath seems quite bad. Furnace seems pretty good. Call of the Herd seems decent. I do like Naturalize. I actually don't want Pyroclasm. It answers the little guy, like the 2/2 guy, but I feel like the other cards are more valuable. I mean, I think we have a pretty good setup against him. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this. Man, should have not lost that game. At least they should have left us in a stalemate. But he drew the Smother in the very last turn, and the very turn that I make the mistake. So yeah, this hand that looks fantastic. Turn 1, Mox into... Do I want to pitch Port or Wasteland? But yeah, we're definitely playing Library on 1. Just having Mox in play seems entirely blanks the Contamination and Edge. I think I'm going to go for pitching Wasteland, and I might as well play around Wasteland of my opponent. Though if they want to Wasteland me with a Library in play, I think I'm okay with that. Duress. Okay, pick your poison. This hand is really, really good. Yeah, he goes for a Thermokarst. Makes sense. Do I want the Terravor? I think I do. Just pay 4, 8. Let's go Furnace into Sphere. Turn 1 Sylvan into a deck like this one is very strong. Now, he doesn't have information about my hand. He may be able to unmask. That's for sure. Unmask would be a little bit annoying. Also, he has Port advantage. It's a good draw. Yeah, that's a good draw. Okay, perfect. So he's not gonna port me? Interesting. Well, we're gonna Wasteland him. I assume he's gonna port my port now to have 1 turn worth of mana. I don't need to Furnace right now. I don't even know if I want to Furnace, because like that's gonna make my Terravor a little bit smaller. I think I care about like the first, but not the second Nether Spirit, I mean. Call of the Herd is interesting. Yeah, I don't think I pay though. So I think we're just gonna get another Forest, cast Call of the Herd, and say go. Snuff out. Well, that's nice that I didn't run a Terravor into that one. Wow, he's attacking? He really has no action over there. Wasteland. Okay, it's kind of annoying. Drew another port immediately after. That's hilarious. So we can just deploy a factory and just... Yeah, I think so. I don't want to like be paying life here. So we're just going to deploy a factory and just cast Terravor. I could have kept a port, and that allows me to port his factory on upkeep and just do nothing else. But I want to like hit my land drop here, then like we deploy Terravor, then we untap, we go port into Call of the Herd, and we are like really pulling ahead here. 6, yeah. Takes it like a champ. Call of the Herd to play around edicts. And now starting next turn, like this is the one turn he gets to attempt to do something meaningful. And then he's gonna lose after that. Because I'm gonna have double port. Once again, Sphere doing its thing. And Library doing its thing, right? When you draw the perfect card every turn because of Library, like the game becomes significantly easier, right? Game number 3. What do we got? Do I care about Surnorv? Is the question. I don't think Surnorv is better than any of the other cards in my deck, so I think I'm just gonna submit. Alright, am I happy keeping this hand? It's got a lot of action. No disruption for his mana, and no way of stopping the Contamination lock. I probably have to keep this anyway, but I'm not stoked about it. Also, Sphere, like he probably, you know, leads on the rest here and then Cabal Therapy. Oh, Therapy first. If he names Sphere, I get destroyed, but he's probably gonna name Library. That's what I would name. Yeah, my plane is good. It's my Klein guy. Second Call of the Herd. Don't love it. Okay, let's play Factory. So if my opponent has Wasteland, if they Wasteland Factory, that's just kind of fine. Hey, look at that. But I definitely do not want them Wasteland in my green source, right? Would love to find a land. 27 lands to draw from. Can I get there? Big oof. Okay, now I have to draw runner lands. Step number 1. If I find another land, I think I'm probably going to be in okay shape. Hell yeah. This is great. I actually oddly cannot really cast Sphere there. Yeah, him having Wasteland number 3 is devastating, but not much I can do about that. I'm gonna float a mana to force him to play properly. Dude, Wasteland number 3 is so good there. Oh no. Well, Sphere is going to the graveyard. Really need to find another land there. Not playing around Crumble, I see. Shivan Oasis. Not the worst. Any land I'll take in that context. Oof. This is such a beating. He's the one playing the land destruction game plan. We can get out of this though. We can definitely get out of this. We can definitely get out of this. Treetop. I just don't think I can afford to cast Sphere. Literally can't afford to do it. ETB tap land's pretty devastating here. Take 3. Tap Shivan Oasis. Call of the Herd. Not great. Ship the turn back. Just gonna be discarding Sphere. Like, we're not casting these Spheres this game. Super far behind on mana. Dude, Unmask. Take my Naturalize. Oh, so brutal. And I haven't drawn any of my Wastelands. Also has enough to double Factory plus port. So if we do find the land of the top, I'm forced to blow up one of these factories. Cannot afford to spend a turn on porting. And I don't think I can either afford to Call of the Herd, because he just like uses removal spell on Call of the Herd and attacks me. So I need to, yeah, I just need to thermal cast one of the factories to buy some time. Little factory that could. The little factory that could. Wasteland. One time. I mean, if I can slow down his clock, even another thermal cast effect should be good enough to stabilize here. Ops Diamond, not quite. I'm gonna play Call of the Herd because like a 3/3 and a 8/8 are effectively the same at blocking this factory, so he's gonna smother whatever I play anyway. And his last 2 cards probably include at least 1 removal spell, so I'm going to assume that I'm pretty dead here. Wasteland off the top one time. Duress actually should probably take the Mox Diamond here. Takes a call. Interesting. Because like the only way I win this game is if I Dystopia. Well, I need to find LD now. LD, please. So now I need to find exactly Wasteland. So let's take the Therapy and let's take whatever, Unmask, I guess. And now we need to find exactly Wasteland or Port. Hey, Port will do. This buys me 1 turn exactly. Just 1 more look. Hanging by a thread. So we wait till beginning of combat. And now we port. Tainted Pact. Dystopia exiled. It's kind of sexy, actually, the Tainted Pact. Nether Spirit exiled. Interesting. Nether Spirit would have been lethal there. He got Cabal Therapy. Kind of whatever. I'm surprised he didn't keep the Nether Spirit. So he needs to tap my port here. Okay, takes my Call of the Herd. Untap. Dystopia. Thermal Karst off the top. Winter's Grasp. Another Mox Diamond. Oof. Is there a reason for me to go for TerraOath instead of Call of the Herd? I don't think so. So I'm just gonna flashback. Call. I mean, we do have to offer it as a blocker. So, like, it's gonna die next turn because of Dystopia, but it's gonna give me a blocker for a turn. Something I need. Or if he has the removal spell, obviously, yeah, he has got some blood. Okay, we died. Wow, what a close game. What a close game. The third Wasteland was one too many. I feel like if he had only had the 2, it would have been a closer game. Round number 3. This hand seems fine. It's kind of awkward that we drew 2 of our basics. This may be awkward. My opponent may be playing something that I want to naturalize on turn 1, but I think I'm going to choose not to do that. We're just gonna play a forest and pass the turn. They may play like their own Mox Diamond or something like that, but... Oh, okay, so Artie's playing Gro-a-Tog, so this hand's pretty bad against Gro-a-Tog. Port was a pretty good draw, though. I think I'm just going to pass the turn, because like tapping him doesn't do anything, so it's much better for me to either tap him now or to tap him on end step. I guess I can just mess him up from Hardcast Days here, so I'm just going to Thermokarst, their basic island. And the question is, whether do I want to play and get the free shuffle? I think this is an extra land going into the graveyard, so it's probably worth just having. So let's just discard the Snow Cover Mountain and just Thermokarst, playing around Days very nicely. Next turn we do get to potentially drop a 3/3 Terravor, which is nice because he plays around Fire and Ice. Mox Diamond, very nice naturalized target. Another Mox Diamond, very interesting. So he may have a counter spell. I think I'm gonna bait the port here. If he lets it resolve, we can just wasteland it. Okay, he doesn't bite the bullet. Smart guy, this Artie. Okay, so I'm just gonna pass the turn and I'm just going to naturalize one of the Moxen on his upkeep. Or if he's casting up here, if he like impulses or something, then I'm just gonna blow up the Mox now. While he's tapped out of counter spell. Opt. So I'm gonna wait until he makes a choice. And now I'm going to naturalize the Mox. He's playing around Wasteland very cleanly with City of Brass and Undiscovered Paradise being the lands that were pitched to Moxen. The fact that I just naturally found one of my naturalizes doesn't help his... Oh, naturally found my naturalize. Ha, man, I cracked myself up. That's huge. Him missing a land drop there is huge. I'm not gonna open myself to... Oh, Ice is my port. Pretty good for me. Yeah, that's good for me. Here's a big boy. We even get to swing for 2. Fetch for a green source. Factory feeling frisky. And these Gro-a-Tog lists rarely have answers main deck to a big Terravor. So I'm going to assume that my opponent's answer to this Terravor is to just tap it with like Fire Ice or like block it with Quirion Dryad. Pretty good draw. Actually, it's not, because I want to spend this turn playing Terravor. And he may gush here. So I'm just gonna serve, swing for 6, and we're gonna spend this turn to play another Terravor. I guess I should have done this first, because that grows the Terravor by 1 if he foils. That is fine. Good thing I didn't attempt to Winter's Grasp there then. This also means no gush, which is very nice. And now we're going to pass the turn, and I'm going to let him redeploy the land so I can tap it on end step, or I can just tap the Flooded Strand as a way to just force him to sack it, because otherwise I can just wasteland it. So it passes the turn, so let's just port. There's actually an argument for porting the Flooded Strand there. Well, this looks like some chump attacks, unless he has Fire Ice, so... some chump blocks, I mean. I guess he's gonna ice one of my dudes, makes sense. Can bring him down to 1 if I attack with Factory, because I can wasteland myself. So I think I'll just serve, probably takes it. And then I guess I attempt to Winter's Grasp. He can gush in response, he can daze, multiple things he can do, but yeah. This sets him back by a turn, something I'm interested in doing, so that's fine with me. Obviously not paying for these days. And now an upkeep, port the island, perfect. Got there, game 1. Game 2. We want Pyroblast / Rebs. We want Spheres, we want Libraries, we do not want all of these land destruction spells. I think Pyroclasm is probably worth playing. Naturalize / Curse Totem are interesting. I think I want Furnace to like mess with their ATOGs. Curse Totem is like, it just blanks a Psychotog. So it's mildly interesting. It does mess with my factories blocking his meddling mages. So I think I'm not gonna go for it. Maybe I get punished by this. Also, I mean, I have 4 Pyroblast to answer Psychotog as well. So I think I'd rather just have Call of the Herd instead. And only 2 Naturalizes to the... Oh, and never mind, more Naturalizes is what we need because Winter Orb. Winter Orb is a card. We also have to worry about Armageddon as well. Almost forgot there for a second. Clean cut of all the Winter's Grasp and just 8 cards coming out real quick. Woof, that's an interesting hand. This hand is super awkward. Yeah, I think I'm gonna ship it. Yeah, this is much better. Keep this, Call of the Herd. Now we're cooking. I think bottoming the Call of the Herd is better there. I think that these Rebs are gonna do some work. Place Flooded Strand. We're going to see an island. Huh. Why? I don't understand that. I mean, now he knows what he's playing against. Not sure how much that's gonna help him, but... I mean, he knows that his Moxen are clean, right? Quirion Dryad, it's quite the annoyance. Do I want to play into this? Can I find... Give me a Mox Diamond off the top deck, please. Phyrexian Furnace. Not quite. It's kind of frustrating. Okay, so let's Furnace here. Next turn, we do get to play Fear through Daze. I think I'm using this Reb or on anything that already lets me, because this red mana is going to be taxed. So if he shows me a cantrip, sure, I'm going to fire it off. Paradise. Hardcast Wonder? I mean, I can just get rid of that, so it's no big deal at all. But I'm trying to figure out whether this matters or not. I think it does, actually. Like, I have no way of getting rid of it. Obviously, I'm going to get super punished right now, right? My opponent's just going to... We're just going to go ahead and draw something terrible. Oh, okay. So, play Mox Diamond. Pitch this. Play Wasteland. Destroy Undiscovered Paradise. Exile Peak. Play Fear of Resistance. And I think I am exiling the Wonder next end step, just to draw a card with Furnace. 2 mana Portent. Love to see it. But we need some cards here. We definitely need some cards, because like this Dryad is gonna actually kill me pretty quickly. Opponent no shuffle and Flooded Strand. Gonna get all the value. Need to draw a card here. Can we draw something good? Mishra's Factory. Quite, actually. So shift the turn back. I'm gonna port on upkeep. If my opponent plays something I can rev, I'm probably not going to. See, we're running to Daze, but I still think it's worth. Unless it's something like a Gush, right? Like if my opponent is gonna be gushing, then that's pretty bad. I would imagine my best draw is Oath. So tap the island and upkeep. He fetches for a plains. We take 3. Nothing we can do about it. Big game. Hope this resolves. It does. Okay, hope it doesn't get destroyed. Disenchant. Rare Revelation. Yeah, that's brutal. That's worst case scenario. Absolute worst case scenario. Because now they have the next one already unlocked as well. So now Oath doesn't actually do anything. Quirion Dryad is killing us really quickly. Factory is gonna get in there because it's not blocking, so... And I'm not using my mana otherwise. Drawing Mox Diamond up there, obviously pretty bad. Also, we use our Furnace already in the face of Ray of Revelation, so... Man, maybe Furnace is just a banger against Gro-a-Tog. Real card? Not a real card. So I guess we attempt to use Factory to block. It's not great, but it's what we got. This time around I'm going to tap the plains because he may have Swords to Plowshares, so if he plows the Factory, then that means that he's not going to be able to play something else. He could have Disenchant, I guess. Block and ship. This is the last turn of the game, so I guess I might as well fetch. And another land. Game 3. Okay, what are we going to do? Now we're going to be on the play. Am I just cutting Oath of Druids? There's no way I'm cutting Oath, right? I may be cutting Pyroclasm though, in some numbers. Bringing Call of the Herds instead. Yeah, let's do that. I feel like I want to have something on board that can do stuff. Also, one brutal thing about this new change that I made to my deck list is that this past weekend, I managed to get my hands on this gorgeous beta Red Elemental Blast, and I only have the one, so I would not be able to play this deck list even if I wanted to. Yes, we're keeping this. Now, this is a healthy hand right here. This is what I would call a healthy hand. Legion Foothills Sego. Would definitely love to have access to something like Port, some way of disrupting, like just some very mild mana disruption of sorts. Carplucent Forest, Sego. I'm not gonna run into Daze, I don't think, if I can help it. I guess I should have probably revved that. Maybe I should have revved that, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna counter this Portent. It's a little bit aggressive, but I think it's just worth using my mana. Maybe I should have actually taken a point from Carplucent Forest. Yeah, I think I should have taken a point from Carplucent Forest instead. Because now I'm giving up Sylvan Library value. Like, I'm giving up a shuffle, which I didn't have to. So I should have just taken the 1 point from Carplucent Forest. Small mistake. Hopefully doesn't bite me. And now, ooh, interesting. Well, we're just gonna fetch here. I don't think I need to take any unnecessary damage. So here's a library, and we hope that it's good. If I get to untap with this, I'm gonna be in pretty good shape. Another island. Gotta love the Gro-a-Tog mana base. That's a factory, that's nice. Another Call of the Herd, Treetop. Guess I don't have to play into Daze, so I'll just go put Treetop on top, pay for Call of the Herd, and just make a 3/3. If he wants to counter it, that's fine. Don't really care too much about it. But even if he doesn't counter it, like now we got a clock, right? White mana, Swords to Plowshares. That's a huge win. Him using Swords to Plowshares to deal with an elephant token, it's a massive win for us. I think we just make another dude. Put Sphere on top, play another Call of the Herd, play out this Treetop Village. Actually, do I want to play out the Treetop? Because of Armageddon. I have a land on top, so I think it's fine to run into Armageddon here. We still have 2 lands, 1 on top of the deck, 1 with the Wasteland. So even if my opponent just Geddons here, it's kind of fine. Also, he just played a land, so probably does not have the Geddon. This is fear is value though. So we're probably not going to play any more lands. We're going to sandbag this stuff. And I guess I'm going to pay 4 for this extra land. I can swing plus sphere, but I kind of want to flashback this Call of the Herd token. I guess I could Terravore instead. Now let's just Call of the Herd. Here's Call, flashback, opponent counter spells. It's good stuff. I mean, I can swing for 2. I definitely don't want to run into Daze. Actually, I'm going to play around Armageddon, I think. I believe I'm far ahead enough that I can afford to do this. He fetches on end step. Looks like the Red Elemental Blast on the portent ended up being very, very strong. And he has nothing. He can't get in. Library is such a big deal. Such a strong card. Oh, wow. Well, that one I'm going to play because it's such a big deal here. Wow. Port is huge, tapping his White Source. Just hardcast foil. Plow the token. This is a really big deal here. Because I think that he was setting up... I think he was actually setting up Armageddon, but he wanted to make sure that he was ahead. Well, he did. And by being able to like tap his planes now, I feel like I'm throwing a pretty sizable wrench on that game plan. I mean, it's the power of Sylvan Library. You quote-unquote always have it. Would definitely love to draw something that I can play to the board. Like this. Okay, so... yeah, so let's go Terravore. And I think if this resolves... okay, it doesn't. That's fine. I think I'm still probably going to run a Sphere right now. And once again, upkeep, tap the planes. We got another Vor coming up this coming turn. Would love to find a Reb. If I find the Power Blast effect, and then I can play this Terror unprotected with Power Blast, I think we're gonna be Gucci. I think he has Gush, but this Sphere is really messing him up. He cannot set up Gush plus Mox plus Geddon or something like that because of the Sphere. In fact, if he plays Mox, I just blow him out. He knows about the Naturalize, so he knows that he just can't do that. Geddon set us both extremely behind. Just Desperation Geddon. While I have a library in play, and I'm drawing Shivan Oasis. Oh my god, so sick. Yeah, Shivan Oasis, baby. Woo, so hot right now. And we draw a port. Hell yeah. Do I want a port or do I want to factory? Actually, there's nothing I'm afraid of, so I think I'd rather factory this turn. I guess I can just draw both. Yeah, I just don't think there's anything I'm afraid of that he can do here. Like just board him next turn. Maybe I shouldn't have paid life there. I mean, I'm just so far ahead. I am insanely far ahead right here. I don't think too much of what I do really matters. So play Mox, pitch in Wasteland, play port, upkeep, tap your land. Now he can't counterspell, and I get to resolve just a casual 17/17 through a Daze. It's another Wasteland. That's fine. Good luck. 2 mana to cantrip. Yeah, go ahead. Man, Sphere is so good. Oh my god, Sphere resistance is so insane. He needs to have exactly City of Brass into Source to Plowshare just so we can continue playing. And then that gives me like infinite cards to draw off library. So here we are for round number 4, and something funny happened. Like we played a 16 turn game 1 against my opponent Baron Bounty here, and Magic Online for whatever reason just made us draw the match, which was super bizarre. We know that my opponent's on Landstill because of that, and my opponent knows what I'm playing as well, so kind of awkward honestly, but super weird. Super weird. Let's go Mox Diamond, pitching Wasteland into port, and I'm gonna drop this Oath of Druids here. Definitely would prefer for this to be a Sylvan Library, but drawing the second Oath, most certainly not great for us. And it means it'll land drop, even more so. Redundant Mox Diamond, not something I'm stoked about. Opponent going for the plains. We don't really have that much time to hit a land drop here. Otherwise, my opponent's going to be able to get far ahead rather quickly. Standstill here would be kind of a nightmare. Seal of Cleansing. Okay, that is fine. Destroy my Mox Diamond, not so fine. Finally find a land 1 turn too late. Would be able to blow up some lands here, but it is what it is. Still going to port the island. My opponent has Mana Leak up, but by porting the island, I'm taking Counterspell out of the equation. Opponent getting value from Impulse. We really have to find a land here. Not quite the land I'm looking for. I'm gonna be forced to play out this Mox Diamond, I guess, so pitch Wasteland, and I'm just going to Winter's Grasp, the basic plains. It's gonna get counter / Mana Leak, but I'm just trying to, like, I'm stuck on mana and I have too many cards in my hand, so I'm trying to get the cards out of my hand a little bit here. Wasteland's nice. I think I want a Wasteland first. Want to float some mana. We'll switch faces. I doubt they're going to be cycling the Decree into the Oath though, but I think I'm just going to play a Terravore now. I don't think there's any reason to, like, if my opponent wants to use a counterspell on this, I think that's fine. It's nice to play against the deck, like, because Oath does stop my opponent's win condition in Decree, but at the same time, if I deploy my own Terravore, like, it just doesn't matter. Yeah, my opponent's forced to counterspell the Terravore, so that's pretty good exchange for me. Thermal cards, the basic planes. My opponent counterspelled last turn too, so Foth in response. Okay, so stand still and land versus the other 3. So we get rid of the white source. Second factory is really annoying actually. Redundant Oath. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be winning this one, unfortunately. I don't think we're gonna be winning this one. Just a little bit too far behind. So tap the land. My opponent's gonna activate the other factory, swing for 2. But I don't want to pop the standstill until my opponent's going to be discarding 2 hand size mana. We're just not hitting land drops, are we? This hand is just not working out for the good guys. Can we find another port or wasteland? Fear. Not quite. My opponent's hitting more land drops than I am. Disenchant. So aggressive. I think that's too aggressive. Yeah, that's fine. That is way too aggressive. Swing for 2. Huh. Do I want to resolve this fear or not, is the question. I definitely have to drop the treetop this turn, like that's not an option. But I think saving the 2 points of damage with port is more relevant. So ship the turn, discard redundant Oath. I think that was a mistake by my opponent. I don't think they're supposed to crack their own standstill there. Standstill number 3. I was gonna say I can just naturalize this factory now, but it's much better to just do this instead. Like I don't need to crack the standstill for them. Like I'm winning right now. Yeah, that was kind of a really big mistake for my opponent. So let's ship the turn. And if my opponent doesn't activate factories, I get to just port a Darker Wastes instead. And that means that my opponent cannot decree without me triggering Oath. So yeah, now I'm ahead. Now I think I'm pretty ahead. Factory and ship the turn back. Then drawing factory number 3 is not great. So maybe I'm not ahead anymore. Tap some mana. We'll see what they do. If they cycle decree, this is gonna be... If they make tokens, I'm gonna get an Oath trigger. Yeah, they just don't make tokens. So it's a matter of like who finds the business spell first, right? Turn 13, and I have definitely not seen enough lands. Pass the turn here, once again pinching Oath. Maybe I should be pitching Sphere instead. I have to dodge Dust Bowl specifically. If my opponent finds Dust Bowl, the game ends. Would love to be finding some lands in my 29 land deck. It would be great. Factory. That one plays. Another white source. Not awesome. This matchup is so interesting to navigate. So interesting to navigate. Carplucent Forest. Well, it's stranded, passing on the turn. And these ports are so click intensive. These Rishat and port are time consumers. Lands are exactly what I want to be drawing. Tap, another land, perfect. I think if they miss their land drop like they did last turn, I'm gonna crack. Don't really have to crack Landstill on end step. Pyroclasm, not great. Yeah, okay, I think this is where I crack the standstill. Library resolved. Well, pass the turn. Enlightened Tutor. Funnily enough, they may blow up my Oath, which would be kind of a big deal. With the Seal of Cleansing. Humility. Yeah, that's fine. So now we're gonna get to resolve whatever we want. Fairy Conclave. You'll love to see it. So now tap an island, tap another island. So they let me library. Very interesting. There's a treetop village there. Let's play it out and let's fetch. And I'm going to Thermal Karst, Fairy Conclave. We don't need to naturalize Humility just yet. We can Winter's Grasp a factory, probably fine. Mana Leak. Yeah, I think we pay. That gets rid of one of the factories. My opponent's gonna get to swing for 4. It's gonna leave me at 2. Decree is low-key an issue though. Don't have any way of gaining life. Fear, not great at this state of the game. And we play Carplucent Forest. And I guess Thermal Karst the factory. And we lose to Decree. So Decree for 4. We can block with 3 creatures. So we're still technically not dead. As long as my opponent doesn't activate the factory. They saw the line. I think I'm exactly 1 mana short of surviving this. Oh, maybe I should have tapped the... No, I didn't have enough mana to tap the factory. I think I'm exactly 1 mana short of naturalizing the factory here. Yeah, exactly 1 mana short. Brutal. Humility actually got me. Crazy game. Okay, let's go into game number 2. Call of the Herd is very good. Pyroblast, Elemental Blast, also quite good. I don't like Mox Diamonds. I think Naturalize is medium. I think Pyroclasm is medium. Not a fan of Oath. They're like not terrible, but they also like they're not good either. So they're kind of in a weird spot. Let's take the Pyroclasm there. On the play, I really like Sphere. On the draw, maybe not so much. Okay, what do we got here? This hand is pretty medium. I think I'm gonna mulligan. This hand is exponentially better. I think I bottomed this snow-covered forest. I think I like all my other lands better. Turn 1 treetop, turn 2 library. Definitely keep this. Bottom the forest. Opponent kept 7. I have to imagine they're gonna have an answer to a turn 2 library. Maybe Annul. Maybe Disenchant. Seal of Cleansing. Ooh, we get to trigger library? Hell yeah. Not great though. We are gonna pay for one of these though. And then we're gonna play Foothills and Shuffle. Actually, we get to look at 2 new cards here, so I'm not gonna shuffle. Should have shuffled. Yeah, so let's put these 2 back. We're just gonna Wasteland main phase, send the turn back. Maybe I should have kept the lands over Naturalize. Not super clear on that. Fetch, another green source. Thermocars is not bad. Yeah, I like that a lot. So let's pay 4. And I play Shivan Oasis, and I think I destroyed the island. This is gonna get countered, but I think that's fine. Mana Leak. Yeah, that's okay. The way this game is going, I don't think I'm gonna be able to blank Mana Leak forever. Fairy Conclave, not the best land against the Wasteland deck. I think I wanna pay here, and I'm gonna Wasteland the Fairy Conclave. The question is, do I want to drop this Terravore? And I don't think so. I may want to send these treetops so I can gain 3 at the cost of a land drop. That's a plow, not going towards my big boy as well, so Seal of Cleansing. Yeah, that sucks. Oh, they let me untap? Take that. So put that on top, put that on top. And I guess now we're gonna be forced to Winter's Grasping the white source. And I'm probably Pyroblasting this counterspell. Mana Leak. And there goes the white source, but opponent has another one. Untap. Lance is not great, but I do have multiple Terravores, so it's probably okay. I think I'm just going to try to bring down all of my opponent's resources. If they have Wrath, then we have another Terravore for next turn. They just counterspell. Okay, play Treetop and Ship. Next turn we drop another Terravore. Wasteland is kind of nice. So we untap, green, green, 1, play another Terravore, another counterspell. And I'm going to take 1 point of damage in order to deal 3. I think. Putting down to 2 cards in hand only. And they plow down to 1 card in hand. I think I'm in pretty decent shape here. Finally blew up library. The library has given me so many cards at this point. So now we start swinging. I think my opponent should have popped that library a while ago. They can't even double block me. Disenchant. Down to 1 card. Another green. And here comes a factory. Down to 15. We're ahead on cards. Ahead on mana. Not ahead on quality of spells. So what are you going to do? Would have loved to have a Pyroblast. If I had a Pyroblast, I feel like I would feel pretty comfortable with my spot, because Pyroblast means that Factor Fiction doesn't allow my opponent to pull ahead. Port is not bad though. Definitely gonna do some upkeep porting now. Port the white source for sure. The Fairies response. Alright, guess I should have played around that one, huh? Definitely would love to see some action. Plow. Opponent using their plows pretty aggressively, but maybe it's just fine. Furnace. Furnace is actually not bad here. Opponent gets a redraw, makes my Terravore slightly smaller. That Deferious response though, wow. Got a white source, and I think I slam here. I want to play around, Mana Leak, and Foff here is brutal though. So I think I do Decree Leak versus the other 3 because I have already the answer to Decree in hand, and I don't care about the Mana Leak. Oh, my opponent took the other 3. So Factory, Counterspell, and I forgot what the other card was. Like for one, with the latest update, MTGO does not show you which cards your opponent got of the Factor Fiction, which I find very annoying because I'm not going to be porting willy-nilly anymore. Dude, the Ferris response, so sick. Hey, look at that. A spell that does anything. I'm not going to run into something stupid like a Mana Leak, right? I just don't need to. So let's attempt to Wasteland now. We'll see if they have the Ferris response. Looks like they don't. So now we're gonna tap a white. I mean, these elephants are looking kind of sexy here. Untap. Let's see what we draw. Pyroblast. Nice. So let's elephant for 3. Dude, Call of the Herd is such an amazing card. Call of the Herd. Opponent's forced to counterspell. Then we Wasteland a Darker Waste. And we're gonna tap Plains on their upkeep. Decent draw. Swing with elephant. If my opponent attempts to block, I'm just gonna let him. They're gonna pump. I'm gonna let them trade. So this way I trade with the factory. And now I get to resolve Terravore. And then tap their white source on upkeep. They could have white source Wrath, but I assume that if they had white source Wrath, they wouldn't have attempted to block with the factory there. So yeah, that was a fun game. I liked navigating this one. I think I'm good here. I don't think I want the oaths. I just want more Call of the Herds all the time. I could have like a one-off fan-off Suranor to combo with library, but I don't think I'm about that. I think I maybe want an extra Mox instead of Sphere on the draw, so I can make up for being on the draw. Maybe play like a turn 1 library or something. Sounds a little bit awkward, but I think I'll take it. Extremely terrified of the fair response though. Absolutely terrified. Treetop, go. I love that standstill is like actively bad for my opponent. So I was thinking about porting, but yeah, I think let's just port. But I'm not gonna port on upkeep. If anything, I'm gonna port on end step. I can also just not port at all, which I guess I'm gonna do. It's just like the threat of porting, but I'm not actually interested in porting. Call of the Herd is big draw. Okay, we're cooking here. We are cooking. Dust Bowl is big game. Dust Bowl is really big game. Fairness in the face of Call of the Herd. Devastating. Okay, what we get to do though is we do get to Winter's Grasp the Dust Bowl with Reb backup. Mana leak, Reb the mana leak. So there goes that. No land? Oh baby. What's the likelihood that my opponent did not use the fair response on the Winter's Grasp? Probably pretty high because they know about the port. So I could just Wasteland to bait it out. Actually, let's just go Call of the Herd. This may get countered. And then I Wasteland the factory. It doesn't play out Wasteland, but not do anything. Opponent just cracks the Furnace straight up. We Wasteland now to play around the response impulse. We do seem to be fairly far ahead here. Being ahead on mana is as sweet. So, opponent plows, sure. Here's a Terra Boy. Opponent can counterspell, mana leak something. Yeah, I guess maybe I should have held on to that. Or just tapped my opponent's land. Tap the whites. Oh, I should have tapped the blue source there. No response. So, port your land. Opponent floats a blue. Nothing. Now, beginning of combat, second main phase, play library, pass the turn, tap your white source. Now we untap with library. Now we run away with game. Yeah, I don't want the Mox Diamond now. So, 2, 3, play Call of the Herd, and play Wasteland to double port my opponent off of white and blue. I guess my opponent has those responses, but not in their hand. I'm gonna keep drawing ports. Out here. Seems like a good plan for us. Swing for 3. Here comes the Herd. And port white, port blue. These, man, Call of the Herd is such a banger. Such an incredible card. Yeah, this opponent just packs it in. Behind on clock too, so yeah. Got there. That was a really fun match. On to the 5th round, and the one lander is not gonna cut it. This one is. This one is going to cut it. We can go turn 1 library. I think we probably bottom the Terravore. I think it's really interesting whether we pitch Forest or Mox to the Mox Diamond. Forest or Factory, sorry, to the Mox Diamond. I think it's pretty close. It looks like opponent kept 7, and we're gonna send this Terravore downstairs. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna pitch the Forest. We may get punished by this, but actually I'm gonna go turn 1 Sphere. This is because we can actually just play this library on turn 2 unless my opponent has exactly Wasteland. Bloodstained Mire. Yeah, this plays around this card much better. Oh, we're playing against Burn. That's a big game. So playing library here over Oath, because if my opponent has a Juggle Pop, I want them to deploy it. Mog Fanatic. Okay, so we're gonna be drawing cards here. Probably can't afford to pay that life, but I will play the Oath, I think. That means that this Mog Fanatic is gonna equal 2 damage. Opponent misses land drop. Okay, so this answers the Mog. And now we get to drop a second Sphere, which is, oh yeah. Urza's Bubble. I think I'm actually gonna be paying life. Yeah, that must feel rough if you're my Burn opponent. But the fact that I have the win conditions already in play makes me feel pretty comfortable about this, because I really don't think that my opponent's gonna be able to race me through triple Sphere. Look at Sylvan Library being great against Burn. You love to see it. Thermokarst? Don't mind if I do. Yes, we're going to once again pay 4, and I'm gonna blow up the Barbarian Ring here. If I blow up the mountain, if my opponent wants to Fire Blast, that seems fine with me, because they're never casting another spell the rest of the game. So this seems okay, and that just resolved. Also notably, my opponent doesn't even have Threshold, so Barbarian Rig doesn't do anything. Opponent goes to discard, and that, I imagine, yeah, that's now the writing on the wall. We don't need to pay life anymore, so I'm just not going to, but I think we're good to go here. Okay, now notably they do have Threshold, so let's put these on top and activate factory, swing and pump. Opponent packs it in. Okay, so Suran Orb, great. Call of the Herd, Furnace, gonna cut some grass and library. Although library was kind of insane there, but it was turn 1 library. Well, I guess turn 2 library with Sphere of Resistance in play, so we're probably not gonna have that every time. But I actually don't think that library is bad against burn. Like, it just gets us closer to Suran Orb, which is exactly what we want to be doing. So 3 Naturalize, I guess a 3rd Pyroclasm over Oath. Nah, I think I like Pyroclasm better than Oath. It's weird because it's the only red card in our main deck, meaning that we may end up in a situation where we're forced to fetch first Snoke over Mountain, but I think it's worth doing. And yeah, I think I actually like Sphere better than Grasp, even on the draw. Yeah, I guess I keep this. We have a quick Terravore, which is nice. So having a quick Terravore means that if we do find what's the name of this card? Suran Orb, we'll probably just win the game. Who knows about my library now? This hand is notably decent against Price of Progress as well. I'm gonna play Smog, Pyroclasm. I think we're just gonna drop a library this turn. This is bad in the face of Bolt Lightning, but there's nothing I can do against Bolt Lightning anyway, so. Bolt Face. And Fnatic gets in there. Fetch land. Flame Rift, kind of aggressive. Carplucent Forest, not what I'm looking for here. These are not great. These are not particularly great. So I think this turn, I'm just going to put these cards back on top, and then I'm going to play out Treetop Village and be very sad. That's my strategy for this turn. But I don't want to play this Terravore as a 3-3, because the tempo loss would be kind of insane, and also to play it this turn I would need to use Carplucent Forest. Best case scenario if my opponent plays Sulfuric Vortex here and we just get to naturalize it. Not the case, unfortunately. If we find Suran Orb, I do think we straight up win the game, however. Did not find Suran Orb. So let's play our second Wasteland and drop a big boy. Incinerate Face. It's not looking great. Incinerate Face. Still not looking great. Okay, game number 3. Now we're going to be on the play. I think I want Winter's Grasp over Library on the play, because the land destruction game plan is a lot more viable when we're on the play. Honestly, maybe I should have just mulliganed that hand in game 2. 1 lander, ship it back. I guess we keep this bottom Carplucent Forest. Turn 1 Treetop, say go. Ooh, pretty great draw actually. It delays the Call of the Herd for a full turn, but it's probably fine. Land Mog. Pass the turn. So now we're threatening to block with the Treetop. We'll see if my opponent respects it or not. I imagine no is the question. We're not gonna block with Treetop anyway. It's just a bluff. You got me, opponent. You got me. Suran Orb. No, unlucky. Here's a Call of the Herd. My opponent gets to burn my Elephant token if they want to. Yes, 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 and a million times yes. That's probably game. Opponent blocks and pings. Play land. Back to. Oh, I missed sequence here. Like, I opened myself up to a Price of Progress that deals me 2 more damage than I needed to. This was poor sequencing on my part. Yeah, there's the Price of Progress, so now I take 6. That was very unnecessary. That may be a game-losing misplay right there. We'll see if it comes back to punish me. But I took 2 points that I should not have taken. We are at a virtual 14 with a Sphere of Resistance in play and 2 3/3s, so I think I like my spot. Even if my opponent Bolt Lightning's here, I can just block and then just get another Incinerate the token. That's fine. This means the opponent gets in for 1. They can Fire Blast right now to force me to not be able to flashback Call. That's better than flashing back a Call of the Herd. So in for 3. Unless they have specifically Tormod's Crypt this next turn. I guess they're gonna have 2 turns. So I can make this an 8/8 Barb Ring. But yeah, I should be at 5. That was very poor sequencing on my part, honestly. A little bit embarrassing, I dare to say. So before we do anything else, play Call of the Herd, play Fetch Land, serve. Opponent's gonna be forced to block. Sack 1 to Suran Orb. Opponent pings and responds, that's fine. Shock. Sack to Suran Orb. Opponent Fire Blast. Sack to Suran Orb. Sack Foothills to Suran Orb. Take 4. Then take 2. Then gain 2. Sack a basic to Suran Orb. Then take 2. Then gain 2. And oh, I misclicked. I was gonna sack the last land. I didn't notice that it was actually lethal. It doesn't matter, like my opponent cannot have. They only have 2 cards in hand, so they would, because of the sphere, they literally cannot have lethal. So yeah, I Miss lethal there, but didn't matter. Yes, this is a combo. This is what we call a combo in the business. Also, when you back this, like this is the trifecta here, the holy trinity. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. That worked out really well. Even though I made some pretty egregious mistakes there, it didn't end up mattering. Cool. We get to play our last match, and we're gonna be playing against Lanny. And we know Lanny's on Goblins because we've been talking about it in the Discord. So this is a fine hand against Goblins, so I'll keep it. Turn 1 lucky. Gonna play Wasteland and say go. Mossfire Valley. Gonna take this hit here. The question now is whether we want to be greedy or not. Whoa, it's just super overextending. Okay, I guess we're not gonna waste any time then. Here's the Pyroclasm. Go. Good start for the good guys. Good start for the good guys. So now we also get to Wasteland, the Mossfire Valley, and I think I'm going to play Sphere, considering the current spot we're in. This means we get to Library next turn, and then go from there. So this is looking pretty good. 1 lander and Sphere of Resistance in play. I guess no need to keep this here. Let's just fetch, and I'm just gonna drop a Terror. Like, we're just outrageously far ahead. Like, there's no way he can come back, yeah. Okay, game number 2. Hopefully we get a little bit more of a game this time around. So here come the Pyroclasms. There go, the Spheres. And I think I want Suran Orbs. And I also want some amount of Call of the Herds. Definitely over the Naturalizes. And maybe over Winter's Grass. Cursed Totem is interesting. I never know when to do this against Goblins. So the cards that Goblins actually, that Cursed Totem interacts with out of Goblins are simply like the Mana Dude, the Scare Prospector, and then the Tinker. Yeah, maybe it's worth playing as a one-off. Mostly because I'm on the draw, so I'm not going to like be too aggressive about like thermokarsting their stuff. He said I had to work so hard to get that draw for the first time this league, and you have you won the one of the 2 Pyroclasms. Life is unfair. Yep. But I mean, this is literally why we're splashing red, right? Literally why. The fact that we got to add insult to injury is just good value, you know? We managed to make Sphere decent. So, this is actually very interesting because we get to play around both Port and Wasteland very effectively, and we get to drop an Oath of Druids on turn 2. The problem is that going to be good enough? We also get to blow up a land, but like we're on the draw as well. I think I'm gonna keep this, but obviously Naturalize blows me out pretty badly, and he's got the turn 1 lucky again. Turn 2 Library is also an option, I guess. As long as he doesn't have Siege Gang, we may be okay. There comes the lucky. Let's see what's up. Ringleader, Tinker, and Matron. Carplucent Forest means that fairly likely that they have a Naturalize. That's an extremely bad draw. And we're gonna fetch for a forest here because I may want to fetch for a red source, and I want to make sure that I don't get ported. But this pile driver is gonna be huge. Ancient Tomb. I mean, if we get a beefy Terror, we may be able to stabilize here. Once we get bigger than a pile driver, we should be in the clear. It's a healthy amount of damage. Take 8 and Matron into Ringleader. Naturalize. Okay, that's probably game. I need to drop Pyroclasm right now. Okay, cool. Moving on to game number 3. Now we're gonna be on the play, and I don't think we need anything else. Game 3, we're on the play this time around. Am I keeping this? So the interesting thing about this hand is that it really puts my opponent in a little bit of a rough spot, because like they literally cannot play a dude on turn 1 nor 2, and then I can start porting. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep this. So Mox Diamond, pitch, Foothills, port, Oath. This also messes with his second turn. Or yeah, no, that's fine. We're going to, I guess we just force him to fetch now. Fetches the green source, and then we can Thermokarst the red source, because he cannot deploy anything until he gets rid of this. So now we're gonna get to Thermokarst the red source, which is pretty nice. So play out a factory, Thermo red. There's the Naturalize. He's got a port who's gonna mess with my own port. Slightly annoying. I just drew another Oath. Perfect. Guess we activate. I should have tapped the Mox Diamond, I guess. Pretty good for me, actually, because now I just get to tap his port. Carplucent Forest, you say, eh? Can I draw a Wasteland? That'd be sick. Lol. I guess that one plays. We still have like Factory as a block, and Pyroclasm in hand, so even if he does answer the Oath, we can just like catch up to him. Now we tap Carplucent Forest. So my opponent gets to tap my factory here. But if they do, they maybe cannot cast Naturalize. So now his dude is gonna connect. And he needs to have exactly land Naturalized. And even if they do, we're still playing because I have the Pyroclasm. So we're at 19. Man, this lucky art is just not doing it for me. Alright, Siege Gang, Sidio Brass. That's my win condition. Pile Driver. Would like to trigger Oath of Druids. How big is my boy? Just a 10-10. Sport is kind of messing me up a little bit. So I think we just do this. And do I serve? I think so. Oh, we also milled the Call of the Herd? I did not see that. I should have definitely got him back. I don't think I should have done that. Should have just cast the Call of the Herd. My opponent gets a Oath trigger. That's how generous I am. I want to limit Lanny on red mana, so I'm going to go after the city. I think that's more valuable than tapping the Rishadan Port. Gets a lucky. I mean, Tormod's Crib would be kind of annoying. Definitely not enough, but certainly annoying. And there it goes. We got there with a 5-1 record, beating Lanny in the very last match. Yeah, I mean, this is why we splash red, right? This is why we are doing this. And there you go, 5-1 record, losing to a super sweet spicy deck that McLean was playing. I think that was actually a brew by Alvaro Galindo. I'm not sure. But yeah, this deck continues to impress. I think that it is extremely powerful. I personally think it's the best deck in the format. I am really happy with this list. The core game plan is fantastic. It's nice, proactive, and it has some very oddly combo-esque elements to it, which is very nice. The Rishadan Ports and the Wastelands do an incredible job, and having access to 4 Factory and 4 Treat of Village is really what really separates this deck, in my opinion. So very impressed by it. It does have some flooding issues sometimes, but that hasn't really happened to me that much, honestly. Even when you flood, you have so much stuff to do with your mana that it's just kind of fine. The only problem tends to be when you draw multiple copies of Mox Diamond. That's when things get a little bit tricky. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you will continue checking out some Premodern content. The format is fantastic and constantly in a little bit of a flux. So I've been really enjoying it. I still have some more decks and some more concoctions that I want to try out. But this is going to be it for this one. Hopefully you dug it. I'll see you in the next video, folks. Take care and bye-bye.